Chapter 6, Cupid's Story. My life. I really can't tell about it because I lived it. I was born on 29th and Prairie. I guess I lived there for quite a long time. The first place I can actually remember I lived was on Frontier. We had a little house over there, and we lived there for about 3 or 4 years. Over there, there's nothing but killing. It's just a regular routine. We got a big family. I got 6 brothers and I think 3 sisters. I ain't counted lately. You know how it is. If somebody asks you how many, it's hard to say. I was nextest to the oldest. My sister, she older than me. And we was up mellow. Then everything started going bad. The way things ran down, me and my brother, we actually grew real fast because we had a whole lots of family problems. We didn't have the proper clothes to wear, and people used to laugh at the way we was dressed and this and that. And even the teachers gave us a hard time, which they do to a lot of peoples. We actually had a difficult time going to school because we didn't have the proper clothes. And people would talk about us, it was hard. The teachers even failed me one semester. I was actually ashamed to go home and tell my mother that I had got failed. My problem was I didn't care. See, I never did think about nothing but the family. And because I don't want to fail, that don't mean I should let myself go. Life should still be lived. At the same time, my father started acting funny too. It seemed like he was separating from the family. He wasn't coming home proper. He was coming home maybe, but not like he's supposed to. See, the old man, he didn't have no job, and he left us to ourselves. Many nights we went hungry, and if we didn't go out and get it ourselves, we wouldn't eat, you dig? He wouldn't provide the food. Like many days, me and my brother went out and sold boxes and found pop bottles. We actually hustled pop bottles and boxes and stuff to get something to eat. If we didn't find different things to sell, we wouldn't eat. The old man, I guess he didn't believe in, growing up. He just didn't want to see us grow up. Maybe he just couldn't realize it. But instead of us growing up like normal kids, we had to provide for the family when he wasn't there. Then my mother, she was fixing to have a baby. It was my youngest brother, Jerry. And behind that, she was sick. She was pretty sick for about 5 or 6 years. She was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but she had to get up out of the bed and take care of the family. That's how it was for a long time. She was sick pretty close to 10 years. My uncle, he stayed in the penitentiary. Me and him was tight. See, we're the only 2 black sheep of the family. We didn't know it then, but as it came out, we were. His daughter, she a prostitute now. She be out on 63rd. I don't know where he is now. I haven't seen him in maybe 10 or 12 years. And I haven't seen my cousin in a long time. But I heard she's on the corner. Don't nobody trust her in their house neither. She'll take anything from anybody. You know how things go along. Time passed, I got older, so we moved on the west side. We moved out to West Jackson. Then we was going to Jefferson. I stayed there till I graduated. It was pretty nice over there. I was in a little club called the Van Dykes. When we moved in, I just saw them on the streets and they saw me. I was a new boy at the school, so I just started hanging around with them. They turned out to be pretty mellow. I was in the midgets. We was small. Still, we wasn't as powerful as the Lords because they had the Braves in that hood too. And they were kicking strong. The Braves and the Jewtown Cobras, they had going east on Roosevelt. All that uptight. We just about 3 or 4 blocks from Damon back to Ashland. We didn't have a whole big section like the Lords did. But what was ours, we kept things uptight. At least they did. I was too young to do anything. Then came the King Pipers. That was Tiny Tim and them. We all going to school together and we all lived on the same street. We'd get together and talk. And we got into a lot of little trouble together, steal milk and stuff like that. Mostly we used to play baseball or basketball at the playground or something like that. Sometimes we might fight Tiny Tim and them. And the Project Boys, they come over, we run them back. Other than that, we didn't have too much to worry about because where we was, there wasn't too much over there people wanted anyway. That was about 58 or 59. After we moved from there, we moved over to Paulina, and I got busted for burglary. I broke into this store next door, me and a cat named James Walker. We had broken into this place 2 or 3 times. The last time we broke in, we stole $130, and we got a .25 automatic. I cut my hand on that too. So this cat was with me. He tricked. He got busted or something, and he tricked on me. They got me that night about 10 o'clock. I was in bed. My sister, she called, and we went to the back door. My mother was in the bed too. My mother was sick. So they came and they took me away, and I stayed for a day or two. Then I came home, and when I went back to court, they sent me to the Audi home for 2 weeks. That motherfucking Audi home is a bad place to be. I guess it's the worst place in the city of Chicago. And not nothing right. They served us some chicken. It was so salty and so bloody that you couldn't even eat it. The only thing you could actually get full of, if you was lucky, was if you could catch some bread. You know, they used to throw bread and stuff around the room, and if you could catch it, you could eat it. And if you didn't, you just didn't eat. I think the welfare had that place then. That's when that big trouble at Sheridan. They was talking about that incident at Sheridan. They was beating boys in half, feeding them and starving them and carrying on about the same time. I don't know how I got through it, but I got through it. After I got home, the Board of Education, they served me into a court for not going to school. See, I never did go to school during that time. I ditched school. Okay, after I get out of Audi home, I went back to school and they kicked me out. They supposed to let me back in, but they didn't want to. That's when the Board of Education sent me back to court. After that, I went back to parental. Parental was mellow, but it's not like home. You just don't have your freedom. It's pretty nice though. You all live in little cottages and everything. You got to go to school like you regularly do. And when you come back from school, come back to your cottage, you could look at television, dance. And on some nights they had different activities like bowling and shit like that. I didn't stay there no time, really about 4 months. While I was in parental, my mother and them had moved, but I didn't know it, 'cause she ain't wrote me no letter. So when I was supposed to leave, they got in touch with my father on the job, and he came and picked me up. That's when we had moved over on the west side on Sawyer, 13th and Sawyer. By the time I got back, that's when things really got going. The Lords were getting strong then. That's when the Lords was kicking. Now, I was still going back out where I used to live, but I had met some partners in the place, and they was in the Lords. Lots of Lords was going to school with me too. I was going to Marshall, and lots of the Lords from Roosevelt was going there at the time. That's when I joined. Now, I wasn't with them when they first started up. I must have come in maybe a year or 2 afterwards. We used to hang around Shepherd's School, and we used to be down at Sully's. It's a little restaurant like. On a Friday, we used to go around there after school, and we'd be out there playing records and something like that. Pretty soon, I just wanted to be mellow like everybody else. And 'cause they was my partners, I just didn't cut them loose. So that's how we got together. That was when they was first drinking that Thunderbird. And that's when the Comanches first came out. Now, I go to the club meetings or something like that, but I wasn't doing much fighting at first. In a way, I was scared. But after I got to know everybody, it was just like anything else. When they went humbugging, I went. We used to be over at this boy's house all the time, too. And at that time, I used to sing a lot. I was in a different branch anyway. We called ourselves the Roosevelt Lords. Then, from Sawyer, we moved down on Lawndale and 18th. That's when I was deeply involved with the Lords. See, the 16th Street Lords on Lawndale and out around there, that's where we was doing all our fighting. That's when I came in contact with everybody around there. The night we moved out there, me and a stud named Horace, he got busted for murder, 'cause he killed this girl on Central Park. We went around and broke in somebody's house. I don't know how I got involved in it. We didn't get busted or nothing like that. So after he broke in and got the money, and we went around there and he got some wine, we came back and sat on the porch and started drinking all night and all day. I sat up on the porch and went to sleep. And when I woke back up, there were some more fellas. And pretty soon I got to know everybody, and everybody knew me. My partner from parental, He cribbed out around there too, and me and him was pretty tight. He's called Count Dracula. He dead now. Some bras shot him over 50 cents. So I started hanging around with them. All together there was 12 in our little group. There was Moon, Count Dracula, Pork Chop, Apache, Fool, Gals Dan, Duck, Chico, and some more fellas. When I first started, they used to call me Little Fool, after this other stud, Big Fool. He used to be a boss maniac, and I used to do what he did all the time. So they called me Little Fool. Then they used to call me Roughhead. I don't know why they called me that. Then from Roughhead, they called me Cupid. It's funny the way I got my name, see. I was small. I was much smaller than I am now. But I was doing a lot. You know, not hand to hand, but I was a good man with the shotgun or a pistol. I was pretty good at hand-to-hand combat too, because I know occasions where we didn't have no guns and we still won. Anyway, we was coming down 16th Street and we was talking to some girls. So this broad said, "Yeah, I know you. You sound like Cupid." And Gouster, you know how he is. Always likes to kid and carrying on. Gouster came around talking, "Yeah, look at this slick Cupid." So that's my name. But I used to change my name myself, because the police used to be down on my back a lot. Instead of running around dodging them, I just changed my name. They didn't know no different. They didn't know one person from another anyway, and somehow your name would get involved in a whole lot of shit, and that's when they get on to you. Just like that time they shot that man in the head. That night we had just got through fighting some saints, and fool, he was gonna rob this man. The man said he don't believe he was gonna shoot him. So a stud named Charles, he shot him in the head. He got, I think, 20 to 60 years. And my name came up in there. I was in the St. Louis Lords when they started. You know, you didn't run around with a pack every day. Goliath and them, they had the Rat Pack, and you might see 2 of them today, and it would be different tomorrow. That's the way it is. You don't see no pack all the time. We called ourselves the St. Louis Lords. For officers, we voted and everything, dig? Moon was president. Now, Moon and them was in jail at the time. And they wrote and told Apache to start our own group, the St. Louis Lords. So we started up. We was on 14th and St. Louis down in the basement at Gouster Dan's. Apache was our counselor at first. Then they chose me. I don't know today really why they chose me to be war counselor. Okay, if we're going to fight, we sit down and we might discuss what's going on. See, the way we had it, the office really didn't mean anything. Everybody needs some kind of leadership, and everybody just had as much as everybody else. It runs something like the Congress. That's the way we had it. We didn't have like a certain officer to run the meeting. And when we were gangbanging, I couldn't say I really led them all, because lots of them I missed out on. I wasn't there. You can't be with them all the time, because you never know who's coming down there at you. The Lords didn't have to look for trouble. Trouble came to them after they got their rep. See, a new club, they wouldn't go out looking for the Cobras. The first one they came looking for is the Lords. This is how the Lords got involved in lots of jive. People look to them. Sometimes you don't have no reason why to go out and fight, because when you get out there, anybody might get killed. A small war just as big as a big war. It can become a big thing. Death is death, you know. That's how it was. Since we lived around there, we know everybody. Everybody from that area know everybody. The majority of the Lords, we all know each other. Lots of them even know our families. So it's just like brothership. Now, we created whole lots of stuff. We did whole lots, you know. We used to rob those peoples on the L all the time. We used to have long sword, maybe 3 feet long. And we used to rob all those peoples and throw them off the L. We usually started around Tuesday night. We used to do it from Tuesday to Saturday. Go out on peoples and take their money and stuff. And any money we got, we take and buy wine and get high. Or else, We go down to the restaurant and buy some hamburgers and eat and fool around. Maybe we go out to bother somebody else or go out to fight or something. We come back, get drinking, and get high again. That's all we did. It was a regular routine. I guess the Lords had been going strong for about a year, but I still don't think they was as powerful then as they was in 61. After that, things quieted down. That was the last year for humbugging and all that. Now, I was in the midgets until I got out. What it was, see, people draw this different thing, but we didn't go from midgets to juniors to seniors. If they ask you what you was in, you always say midgets. We midgets. We always midgets. Midgets was more, we had more respect. You would always have more respect for a midget than you would a senior, anytime. The midgets always together. Now, this was only for the St. Louis. I don't know how the other fellas did it. First club we were fighting was the Comanches. See, the Comanches were the midgets for the Imperial Chaplains. They had their name Comanches because it had got too hot for them. And by then, Cave and them had broke up most all the other clubs. Not Cave himself, but he was involved in breaking them up. You know, nobody know for sure how a gang war starts. You never know you even involved in the gang war at first. It could get started when you're not around, and you won't know nothing about it. One minute you may be down, then the next minute you may be fighting. It could get started over a little simple thing. And what everybody really searching for is power. Like if I was to go out and start a fight with a club now, I wouldn't come back and tell my partners because they might be mad at me. And when the humbugging starts, they think it was this other club. So the Comanches could have started it, and the Lords could have started it. Don't nobody know. Now, we still fighting the Cobras at the same time. This one night, we was just out having fun. We weren't out to shoot nobody in particular. I remember I had a 41 Magnum. One of my partners had a 38 Special, and a stud had a 32 Short. We went down hard and shooting up peoples. I don't know who we were shooting at or what for, but we were fighting the Cobras. I guess we were just shooting after everybody. We came back, and there wasn't but two of us, me and Ringo. So Ringo, he yells, "We Vice Lords, mighty Vice Lords." He yelling to this man up the street. His stud said, "Well, you all Vice Lords, huh?" We said, "Yeah." And by the time he was reaching for his back pocket, I guess he didn't get out what he wanted to get out before I got out what I got out. I shot him in the leg, a foot or something, and he ran down the street, hollering like a dog. I don't even know if he a Cobra, but it was in the Cobra's hood. It was 13th and Avery, something like that. But the Cobras came back on us. We were standing in front of the YMCA, and all of a sudden the car came around Polk Street and started slowing down. Everybody turned around and looked. I said to the man, "Go ahead, man, go ahead." But the stud wouldn't move his car. All of a sudden, maybe about 6 studs popped out with shotguns, man. And fool, he ran. He ran into somebody's crib. And he ain't knock on the door or anything. They chased us all the way down back to Independence. One night, we was coming from the Golden Dome. The paper said there was only 13, but they only busted 13. They questioned everybody that was there, but they let me go. What happened? We asked this man for a nickel or a dime, something, and he got smart. This fool Wine asked the man for a nickel, and he answered, "I ain't got no nickel." Wine said, "You gonna have to give me a nickel." The stud said, "I'm not your daddy." The fool Wine said, "I know you're not my father." And Bull, he hit the man and knocked him down. The man tried to get back up. He was a judo expert. And when he got back up again, I guess he was trying to get in his position, and somebody hit him again. Boom! He went down. The poor soul, that's the last time he ever stood up. They stomped him to death. I don't know if he was dead on arrival or not. Anyway, the people got 40 years, 14, and 25. Little oldest of them, they went to St. Charles. It was, one of them things. This is when we broke up the Comanches. After this one fight, they broke up. It must have happened between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. I was sitting there on 16th and Lawndale, and some dude came down and said the Comanches jumped on Caveman and some of the other fellas. I forgot who they was. Somebody said, "Get everybody together." So somebody got on the telephone and called the fellas from Maypole, Tankson and them. We told the vice lords to stay back, but they came down there anyway. I remember how this was how we got down there. We all went on top of this big old truck. We was packed on it. So we came down there, and it seemed like it was really funny. We was down there. We were fighting, killing up each other. And all of a sudden, we got hemmed up. The Comanches, they had us. They had us up tight. We was boxed in. And so by some coincidence, some of the fellas was coming behind them. But it just seemed like they wasn't getting there fast enough. And all of a sudden, we looked up, and here come Tankson and them. So the Comanches, they seen them before we did, and they started running. I'll never forget this. It was King Solomon, crazy ass King Solomon. He had one of these little hook bills. It's a knife, a linoleum knife. Got a hook on the end. And a stud in the Comanches called Genghis Khan, he went to run. And that's when Solomon got him with the hook bill. Cut the stud's whole guts out. And two more of they fellas got shot. Big James and one of they top boys, Big House Willie. We really fucked them up that night. This was a whole imperial group, Comanches and everybody. Cause this was right on their corner, right where they grew up on 16th and Trumbull. And Genghis Khan was on the critical list. The paper made a big write-up on it. And they was talking about if Genghis Khan would die, there was gonna be a big war. But see, what they was trying to do was turn up 16th and Lawndale and take over the corner. Naturally, we wouldn't go for that. And the police was after us too that night, because we was coming down the street, marching in the middle of the street with shotguns. It was a humbug. I remember once we were in Washington Park, and lots of peoples was there. Count Dracula, he had, I think it was a 25 automatic. People thought it was a German Luger. All them Southside clubs thought that. We almost had a little humbug, but nobody got hurt that day. It was just the respect we got. We got all of it. See, we went there for the Bud Billigan parade. Most all the city was there. Most all the vice lords went. But you know how it is. We just come out there with our partners. You see one of your partners go over there. He gonna say, well, a couple more fellas over there. So you go over there and pretty soon, you all together then. It never was a problem trying to find the fellas. It was easy. See, a vice lord had a certain kind of look. He looked like he was proud. He was proud. You could tell right now. If we walk out south of something, you know, they look at us and see a little something out of us that the Lord's got. They was proud. They was proud of what they is. So in Washington Park, we were rounding some bushes, and some Southside boys, they got an urge. See, they don't like for nobody to mess with they girls. We didn't know them. We just out messing with everybody. We was out there good timing. And we had our little jackets on. We had black jackets with white lettering across that said St. Louis Lords. So we didn't have to say nothing because our jackets was talking for us. So they said, "You all lords?" We said, "Yeah, what about it?" They said, "Well, we don't like no lords over here. Go back to the west side." So we said, "Well, we came for the parade, and we gonna stay till the parade is over with." Stud said, "Not if I can help it." And he called his fellas, about 3 or 4 of them. So they all started approaching us, and Count threw out that jive. They thought it was a Luger, and they ran. I don't think we shot nobody. I know we started shooting up the park, but the man came around there, so we went on. It had got too hot anyway. I say Caveman and them was kind of jealous of us, you know, because at that time, we was swinging pretty hard. We was younger than Cave and them. We was little bitty dudes, and they was big, but we used to keep pockets full of money. We used to keep gallons and stuff of wine. We always used to keep money and all stay clean while we had a suit or something on. And we used to have a house to go up to all the time. We had got our own girls. We used to call them the Supreme Queens. They just did their part too. When we fought, they was outside. They'd take our guns and hide them when the police bust us. They used to write to us in jail, and they was really something mellow. Lots of times if a certain fella break in the store, some of the girls be with him. They just get different stuff. They was just like the boys. They used to drink like we did, and maybe even more. They really came down to be pretty nice. And we used to give dances and stuff. We never did invite Cave and them because actually they was too old. They figured they was too old to be messing with us anyway. So we don't never run up to them asking them for nothing. Every time they came down, they always wanted us to buy them something to drink. And they wanted our girls too. They were very jealous of our girls. And it got messed up as soon as they found out about it. They wanted to come over and start tearing up things. They just couldn't let well enough be well enough. If the girls didn't want to go with them, they wanted to start knocking them down, tearing up their houses. Pretty soon we didn't have anything anymore. We faced the same problem. No place to go. And everything started all over again. Another reason Cave and them was jealous of us was because we was independent. And them, they always wanted to run things. They wanted to be head of everything. Maybe they afraid they might get too old, I don't know. But they wanted to run everything. And we didn't like it. So we changed our name to Mighty Street Louis Lords. And the YMCA was all over Cave because he's supposed to be the leader and stuff. They gave Cave and them everything they wanted. So they looked to Cave before they looked to us. And we was the ones out there creating everything. So we cut the YMCA and all them peoples loose. And we set up a kind of independent group. We had a sponsor of our own at the BBF. But we were still lords. Apparently they couldn't dig that. They wanted us to follow after them, conservative. Which we couldn't see why we should follow them, the conservative name. We the only ones be out here doing anything. And we still didn't change our name. We stood up for ourselves. And now a lot more studs call themselves Mighty Vice Lords too. So then, Cool Fool and King Solomon, they got into it with Cave and them. The same night, Cave, Rifleman, and some more fellas, they came down and they talking about how they was gonna fall on us. Cause we had got into it with Polecat and we wasn't going by conservatives. They got kinda hot. But we said we wasn't gonna change our name regardless. We'll fight anybody. And this was when the Roman Saints had just come out. And they had started coming across, moving north. The Saints had got heavy. And we was the only ones pushing them studs back. We had the Saints broke up. I ain't talking about these little studs around now calling themselves Roman Saints. We went after they big boys. They big boys was kneecaps and all them. All they presidents and stuff. They was scared to go to school, really. If they did go, the rest of them would have to come there and walk them home. We chased all of them home. Caveman, he was out there talking about don't mess with them boys because them boys weren't doing nothing. Now, counting me, we had built up a rep then. So as soon as they seen we wasn't going to back down, they let us alone. See, the only thing they did, they all wanted the glory off other people's. They wanted us to go out there and get beat up and all shot up. And then they stand back and get the glory. Talk about what they could do and never do it. That's the only thing they was good for then. Now, maybe in their younger days they was swinging, but they wasn't shit then. Not anything. Lots of wind. All they was doing, they come around and want us to buy them jugs and carrying on. But when the shit came down and somebody doing the humbugging, only thing they want to do was say, well, you should go this way. Fuck going this way. If you can't go with me, so that's the way it was. I guess we just wasn't scared of them. Hey, you know what? I used to hit some big fellas, bigger than me. I used to get a kick out of that. They thought they was stronger than me. I hated a big fat mouth more than anybody, like Big James. I shot him with a pistol. Those gentlemen, lots of mouth. He'd go, I guess, if he was uptight, and he was a boxer. He used to box in the Golden Gloves. Cherokee, he used to box too. He could have got someplace. Cherokee's a smart stud. He graduated from high school and had a year of junior college. I don't know what wrong with the stud. He went completely down. I guess he just didn't have the build to deliver. That's all. He had the ability, but he didn't want to. He wanted to stay young, scared to get old. That stud about 24 now, and he's still in the streets gang banging. He a fool cause he'll go jump on somebody and then tell the people who he is, knowing he gonna get busted. Just like you go in somebody's pocket and take his shit and say, I'm Cherokee, remember that. And the police. That's just like him saying his right name. The police know exactly who it is and where to go and get him. He got busted a lot of times like that. His folks are Muslims. I remember when we had that .22 rifle. The Saints hadn't been out too long. Like I said, the first time they came out, we damn near broke them up because they were scared to come to school. We had a big fight with them. There were 3 of us, and we whooped them in hand-to-hand combat. We had whooped on them, so they had broken down. Then the next thing, I heard the Roman Saints was carrying on. We used to go down there and shoot up 2 or 3 of them all the time. They were scared. After meetings, we used to go out and do things up in their hood. One night we had a meeting. It was Monday. We was all broke, and we couldn't buy no wine. So we went up there in the alley and started humbugging. I got shot in the leg that night. Yeah, we was coming down Albany, and they was shooting at us. We was running around just having fun, though. We weren't running because they was shooting. Well, there really wasn't anything else to do. We got in the gangway and hollered out, "Mighty Vice Lords!" And they started shooting at us again. I guess I didn't get out the way fast enough. I got shot in the leg. Matter of fact, I didn't know nothing about it till the next day. My mother asked me how come I couldn't get out the bed. I thought I broke my leg or something. So I went to the doctor, and he took out a shell. He said I was pretty lucky. We used to meet with the Roman Saints. The YMCA set the meetings up, but they didn't mean anything. See, they never do set it up for the people that are doing it. They always try to set them up with the people they think got the most influence. That's okay, but the only thing wrong, they forget there's a whole lots of jealous people. Everybody trying to be like that person up there. They figure if he goes to the meeting, why can't I go too? When I'm out there standing by his side doing as much as he doing. That's what they thinking. But the why, they just don't see it. I went to lots of meetings myself. They cooked dinners and stuff. Had nice dinners. They dance and talk about their difficulties. And that's it. They go back to the streets and go right on doing the same old routine. Go back out there and start fighting again. It might last for a week. That's all. It don't last too long. Then they call another meeting. They talk about the same thing again. It's okay, I guess. But them peoples are not equipped like they should be. They don't have the right kind of anything. Maybe the money's out there, but the YMCA, they so strict. I don't see how you could be strict with a wolf pack. Really. You got to have a place of your own to really tear up something, like a gym or something. And then a lot of people don't want to do one special thing, like the YMCA. The only thing they want you to do is come up there and play some games or go in the gym and play some basketball. Who wants to do that every 2 or 3 days? That's all it was. And not everybody can skate, so who wants to go there and skate? We better off sticking together and doing shit on the streets, because you was too limited to what you could do at the Y. Then, when they did have dances, there'd be so many people there that you didn't know trying to get something out of you. You better off not even going. Maybe they trying to get some information for one of them pictures you see on television, like Keep It Cool and all them pictures. Anytime they going to have a dance at the YMCA, you could bet after that, the Bell Telephone Company or some movie outfit gonna move in that next summer and try to make it a picture of the group. They gonna try to go around and meet everybody. Like last year, then people came all the way out from New York and all over just to meet us. And when we used to be fighting, they had people running up and down trying to get pictures of it to show how it was. It don't do no good. Peoples look at it and think you a fool. Those studs out there taking pictures, they don't even know what you doing it for. Actually, they don't really care because they ain't gonna give away nothing. You're not gonna get nothing out of it. If they do give away something, it's just to gain something themselves. To actually give something to somebody else you don't know is kind of foolish. I know I don't do it. I know the next man won't do it, especially if you think you're not going to use it. 9 out of 10 of the money being donated, you don't get the proper use of it anyway. Most of it go to waste. But if they had just a little more than they have now, there probably wouldn't be many clubs out there. If there's going to be a club any place you go, And they're always going to be a bad guy or somebody that think they bad anyway. But when you got close to 600 boys think they bad running down the street carrying guns, that's pretty bad. And all these years, they still haven't got no solution for this here problem. When you think of all the money the United States is spending out on other things, and they talking about this is not a major problem. I don't know what is. Something must be wrong. When you look at the future, the way everybody on the streets cutting up each other, there won't be no future. There won't be nobody left by the time they get through to do anything. They killing off everybody. And the peoples, they don't care. Only thing they do is hire more policemen. And what are the police doing? The police is killing more than we are. The police are living better than we are. They still driving $5,000 and $6,000 cars. I don't see how they can afford them. And most of us, we can't even afford a hamburger. They catch us with a quarter. They're going to whoop our asses up, take our quarter, and put it in their pocket. Yeah. And they say it's not a major problem. It is a major problem. But when it comes up to the point, they're always willing to draft you. You're the first one they're going to call for the fight. But they don't think they have to give you anything. Give you a decent place to go? Nope. You know, they might build a center or something, but they're going to have so many rules there that you just can't enjoy yourself. Like you're going to have only third nights to come. What good is going third nights? You can't go every night. Not much good. Then, lots of places you got to pay to go. In some neighborhoods, it's okay to pay. But in some neighborhoods, everybody don't have that kind of money to be paying. Around here, if you ain't got that money to pay, you just don't go. All these centers just for the good guys anyway, good girls and boys. None of the clubs go in. Miss Love Center is okay, but she just don't have the money to run it. And the government hasn't given her any money. I guess it's too much like right. Yeah, somebody might learn something. The more you stay down, the more they can rest. The only thing they think you good for is getting busted. They treat you like animals. You a savage. As long as they can get you anytime they want. Draft you and send you to fight something they started. It's okay, huh? They start something they can't handle. They're going to call you to go over there and handle it. As far as them doing you justice, making sure you got a decent place to go or a decent place to live, that's too much money they got to be spending out. They can afford to give away millions of dollars a year to somebody else, but not to us. We got to be satisfied with what we got, making the best of it we can. And around this Lawndale area, there's more people starving than any China. I bet you more people starving around here. Take this whole Lawndale area. I say 90% of them is on aid. Some kind of welfare. In the morning you go out, there's somebody standing out on their porch waiting on their check. That's why probably so many people's in this ADC carrying on. They look at everybody else. It's a common thing. Just like you going to work now. You look like a fool not being on and everybody else on. They living better than you living in. Staying home. I don't know how they got it arranged, but it's kind of foolish. That summer of 61, that was the last summer of fighting. Then Cave and them faded out, and the 16th Street Lords was the Rat Pack, until we came and showed them who was boss. See, King Solomon and them broke up, and then we took over. We handled things. At that time, I guess everybody else had kind of got away from the group, the old 16th Street. They didn't have no kind of influence. They didn't have nothing to say to us. We ran 16th Street. We was the 16th Street Lords, actually. And everybody else, if they wanted anything, they looked for us to do it. Anything came to them, we gave it to them. We gave them what we wanted to give them. Wouldn't nobody mess with us, because all those we didn't whoop, we shoot up, or maybe even managed to kill. Not too many people said nothing, because they was afraid to, because we would have had things uptight. It wasn't that we had so much power fighting from hand-to-hand combat, but the stuff we could promote. We could come down with some hell of a shit. We can come down with the jive. We had a .22 rifle shoot 26 times. We used to tear up more shit coming down through them alleys. We had an old Buffalo gun. We had all kinds of jive down there. One time my mother came up and busted me with 6 shotguns. That stud from the Audi home was downstairs. I almost got sent to St. Charles. So anyway, we didn't worry about nobody messing with us. They would come down and ask to mess with just one of us, but they had respect for all of us together. And there were a lot of studs in the club at that time. They didn't do anything. That's why they didn't want to say too much, because we weren't using the conservative name. And the conservative name has started going down. Not even the police would say anything. Only time they would get on our back was when we come up the street screaming and hollering. They could have been scared themselves. I don't know. And for a while, people thought we had actually cut ourselves loose from the group, and they thought we was going to cop out. Now, most of the seniors and juniors, they didn't have no job at that time. Even Cockroach didn't have no job. But we all had jobs. We always stayed clean. Maybe this was something they didn't understand either. They begged most every time we see them. And if we didn't have no job, we didn't beg. We'd go out and get us some money, hit somebody in the head, steal us something, like maybe for breakfast. When we didn't go home, we'd always have a vacant apartment or something like that. 1 or 2 of us would go out and steal us some rolls or bacon and eggs and go up and cook them. On many occasions we did that. It was pretty nice. We were saying that we were going to make the name Mighty Vice Lord go down in history someday. We had so much confidence in ourselves that we felt we could do this here. Actually, we was obliged to do it. This was our supreme purpose, to be known, to gain this certain respect. We just wanted to do this. It was at a meeting, and Count said one day the Mighty Vice Lord name will go out to history and will be known nationwide. Everybody will remember the Mighty Vice Lords. Those were his exact words, and we tried to make it so. We did a little bit of everything under the sun. People respected us. Every place we went, we gained respect. Like one time, we went south. We were out on 63rd, and the peoples knew who we was. And we hadn't mentioned Vice Lords or anything. Everybody respected us to the highest. We were lords. See, people respected the lords in a way, because they never run back and say, well, this club here jumped on me. The lords took care of their own. It was their responsibility to do it. They did it. In a way, everybody helped everybody else. We should take care of business if necessary, but we didn't try to bogart nobody and all that, you know. Just take things from nobody. When we got it, we got it. It gained us respect. It made us welcome anytime we came there. And if things got kind of rough, we knew how to take care of business. But we gained respect for that too. If you in the Lords, that's one thing. If you was a woman, you'd be a woman. If you was a man, you was a man. That's the way it was. You had to learn. You was out there. You was holding that street 24 hours a day. And you just had to constantly fight life and death out there. Lots of times, the police even threatened us. Some cat going on about how he was going to shoot at us. At that point, everybody was against the Lords. We was a little city. That's why they called it Vice Lord City. And you just had to be close. Or if you wasn't, that was it. You dead. But we had lots of fun together, and that's probably what made us real tight. The word Vice Lord. It shocked a lot of peoples. It fascinated a lot of peoples. That's probably why lots of the fellas was really digging the club. The Lords. Actually, you wasn't nobody, but the word itself mean a lot. You treasure that word. That's why maybe a lot of peoples did what they did. You go through some hell of a changes. Hell of a changes. You sit down and talk about it now, and laugh at it, but still one thing that remains bound to you. Respect. You feel you always deserve respect from any person to you, white or colored. You learn that even our name itself, Mighty Vice Lords, it means something. Mighty in everything. That's right. That's one thing about the clubs. I know we went through some hell of things together, but after it was all over, we didn't care. We was all happy about it. We laughed and drunk our wine. People might talk about it after us, but we was happy. We was the ones that had gained this respect. And I tell you one thing about them peoples in the hood. Them peoples wouldn't come up there and tell us to move. You know why? They was just as scared of us as we was of them. Actually, they had more rights than we did. What could we have gained by it? We couldn't even vote. We didn't have nothing to say. One thing, it cost us some lots of money. As many scrapes as we got in and got out, it cost us some lots of money to get in and get out of jail all them times. Hell of a lot of money. We spent more money staying out of jail than we did having a good time. That's real though. That's life. That's no lie, man. That's the way it was. I shot about 6 or 7 people one night. It was kind of funny though. Little boy had just got out of jail and we was down at the YMCA, you know. On Saturday nights we used to go there skating, and I'll never forget that. I had just stole a brand new 5-shot automatic, a J.C. Higgins, and I wanted to test it out. So one of the fellas run up to me and said, "Go ahead, here come the Roman Saints." So I hid behind the car. They come marching down there yelling, "We gonna tear up these lords. We gonna do this, we gonna do that." Shit. They come down there, they ain't shit. So anyways, I had it loaded wrong. I didn't know how to load the thing. I squeezed the trigger, and you know how you do. You close your eyes when you're getting ready to squeeze the trigger, and didn't nothing happen. So I beat it a little while, rearranged the shell, and put it back up. They was getting closer and closer. Now, I wasn't intending to shoot none of them. I was going to shoot the gun and chase them back. Only thing, I wanted to see if the gun was any good. So I squeezed the trigger again, and still didn't nothing happen. Man, and this happened about 3 or 4 times. I was just fixing to say, this thing ain't no good. I just as soon throw it away. And then I figured maybe I have the safety on. So I beat it around, played with the safety for a while, and threw the shell up in there again. They was coming. And when they was about 50 feet, they spotted me. You know, before they all run after you, they gonna congregate a little while. I was backing off. I was scared. But I knew they wasn't gonna bother me. And all I had to do was show the shotgun. They run. So they tried coming forward. I didn't know if the shotgun would even work, man. I was backing up, and they was coming towards me. They all spread out like they was gonna come and get me. Yeah, they thought they gonna have a party that night. All of a sudden, I squeezed that trigger, and that thing started going off. I had it loaded top. I was just gonna shoot one time, but it started so pretty, I said, forget it. Things just started going fast, man. I shot 4 of them. That barrel was almost melting. You know, with an automatic, you can't just continue to shoot the gun like that, especially a big gun like that. The gun almost melted on me. The thing was hot. I went and stuck it in some water, man. Little Bull was with me that night. We hid the gun up under a car. He had a 12 gauge and I had an automatic. Only thing, he didn't get a chance to shoot his because I was gone so fast. See, that's why I wasn't so worried about them coming after me. Altogether, I guess I shot about 6 or 7 of them. That was when Grad Man had just come into the court. All the fellas was talking about that new judge. I got 14 continuances. They shouldn't even pick me up because they didn't find no shotgun on me. They found the shotgun round the corner. But what happened? I'm like a fool. They picked up Lil Bull, and I don't know what he said. One of my partners said, "Well, you don't want to go down there and see him?" I said, "What the fuck? They ain't got nothing on me." I go down there with him. I got down there and they locked me up. I stayed there until the end of the case. 3 of the Saints came down there and identified me. They said I shot them. They never appeared in court. And it was at the end of the 6-month period for that fool paycheck to change the court, and Grand Man had just came in after this. It's funny, I'll never forget this. He said, "You want to go home, son?" At 2:30, man? I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, go ahead." He said to my mother, "Take him home, ma'am." I never even looked back. I kept going. You'll catch a fool in every crowd, and the Lawndale area is full of fools. Everybody think they know more than everybody else. Nobody know anything. No wonder somebody else tell them what they might see or what somebody might hear from their next door neighbor. And talking about cash, all them fellas working for that commission on this youth welfare, all them cats, man. That's the most sickening sight I ever seen. All them sit back in their office making $5,000 to $10,000 a year, running out program after program. They have interviews about what they doing for the Lawndale area. And one of the biggest well-known gangbangers can walk up on them. They wouldn't even know who he was. We are strangers to them. But they still gonna write, Cupid did this here, or Bull did this here, or Little Lord did this here. I might walk up on them, and they wouldn't even know me. Bull walk up on him. They wouldn't know him. Little Lord might walk up on him. They wouldn't know him neither. Until somebody do something. And then there's a whole lot of bullshit. They shaking hands. They want to find jobs for everybody. But as far as them coming out to the streets and want to work on their own, they're not going to do that. They don't see no reason why they should do it. It's no use to them. So long as they draw their checks as mellow. When they checks stop coming to them, they got to work then. Oh, this is just a thing, a way to make a living. As long as we out on the streets and fighting, they got money coming in. But if we want to settle down and just be somebody, they won't accept it then. They say we all savages, but it's not so. Everybody wants to live decent. We're not going to be young savages all our life. One day we're going to have to be able to vote, and them guys going to be out of a job. The younger generation coming up, I'm quite sure that they don't want to come up the same way we did, especially when we get to be part of society. Some of those kids going to be ours, and we don't want them going through the same shit we went through, trying to come up being somebody instead of nobody. I guess that's just the way it is. We nobody. That youth commission and all them cats full of shit, just like they ever been. Who know them? Nobody. Who cares to know them? Nobody. What they ever did for somebody? Nothing. Nothing at all. They might interview a couple of peoples when they do jobs on the line, but come down to cold facts. Who they think about? Nobody but themselves. They pass some old exam for this job, so the state decides to give it to them. They living a life of a king. What they got to do? Nothing. What makes their job so easy? The papers do most of their work. All they have to do is hop up and read the papers, ask a couple of questions, and write a report. They might not send it in for 6 months. That's it. But for them to get down to real problems, no good. What I believe the caseworkers should do, if they was really out for the peoples, is to be really true to their work. But you can't be a true caseworker with so many people who all got problems. Like in Lawndale, how many caseworkers do they got? About 50? Now, how in the hell can 50 caseworkers take care of damn near 4,000-5,000 boys, all who got problems? Half of them ain't got no clothes to wear to school and nowhere to get any from. Half of them are dropouts and ain't nobody trying to get no job for them. And out of that 50 caseworkers, maybe about 10 is looking out for their job. They looking out for the fellas, and the other 40 just there. They might as well not be there. Just a lot of expense. Just a way to spend money. It's sickening. I got on parole that time I shot my father. I was mad at somebody else. I had a .32 revolver and I was going to shoot Gouster Dan and Pork Chop. They were talking this old simple stuff. I don't even remember what they was talking about now. So I was coming out the room and my father said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going out." He was trying to stop me. He must have felt I had a gun because he right there. So we got to arguing. I said, "Get away from the door." He said, "What you gonna do?" "If you don't get away from the door, I'm gonna leave you laying there and go out the back way. It don't make me no difference." He kept arguing. So I threw out my jive. My mother attracted my attention and he went on downstairs and called the police. But he was gonna drop the charges. They tricked him into signing the complaint. They said he had to sign. And this is not true. That fool paycheck gave me a year probation. He gave me the first 60 days in the joint and a year's probation. But it was about the first good thing he ever did. Lucky he didn't say a year in the joint. He was pretty good at that. He said, well, did you point the gun at your father? You know, that little gleam he had in his eye. He was just waiting to send me. Anyway, I looked at his little gleam and I thought I knew what I better not say. I said, I ain't gonna start pointing the gun at my father. I started to say it was a play gun. He would never have known it. But one thing messed me up. See, like a fool, I had went and showed them where I had put that gun at. I shouldn't have showed them that. If I hadn't have shown them, it'd just been my word against my father's. I could have told them it was a toy gun or something then. I met Venus at a dance. Me and Count was together. It was on a Friday night, and I'll never forget it. Count had just got off work, and we went down to his crib. He was living on Douglas and Drake. When we left, we went around to this girl's house I used to go with. We stayed up there maybe 5 or 10 minutes, no later than 15. We rapped for a while, and then Count said he was going to this dance. So I told him, okay, I'll meet you there. And he cut out. So I said, well, I don't think I'm going. I told her I changed my mind. I better go on home and go to bed. So I cuts down 16th Street, and I meet some more of the fellas. Poke Chop was there, and they was talking about this dance. So while I was there, I thought I might as well go on up there. And that's when I met Venus. When I first seen her, I thought I knew her. So I was talking to her. I was just talking to her as a friend, just trying to get acquainted. I think things got a little bit out of hand, though, afterwards. We didn't do anything, but I just started seeing her more often. Okay, she told me she was pregnant. Well, to me, somebody give me their word about something like that. I'm not going to act a fool and question them, knowing that I had something to do with them. I'm not going to say, well, is you sure? I'm figuring you should know, because you're supposed to be a woman. I take care of my part of the business. You take care of yours. Well, it come out a couple months later she wasn't pregnant. Then it come out that she was pregnant. I didn't know what the hell to believe. And it come out this time she was pregnant for real. Finally, we just got married. I wish I hadn't. But see, since she said she was pregnant, I'm not the type of fella to say, well, it's not my baby. It could be anybody's baby, like some people say. I kind of liked the girl anyway. I knew eventually I'd get attached to her. And the baby means a lot anyway. So I asked her to marry me, and she said okay. It was going all right. We lived on 18th and Springfield. It was all right for the first week or two. Then she got this urge that she continuous wanted to go over to her mother's house. She spent more time at her mother's house than she did with me. Every time we get in an argument, she running back to her mother. So I asked her, what's over her mother's house? She said, I can't go over to visit my mother. I said, it's okay. Visit your mother. But why visit her every week? I don't even visit my mother every week. And she live about 3 blocks from me. But it don't stop. She continually running back and forth. Then her partner came over and talked her into going to Michigan, which I don't know nothing about. On Thursday, she come to me and tells me she going to Michigan. I said, going to Michigan? Well, you didn't ask me nothing about it. If you don't want me to go, I won't go. So I went to work. And when I came home, she had borrowed some money from the landlord and went to Michigan. She came back that Monday, and we got into it. She talking about killing herself. I believe she's some kind of nut. Something wrong with the girl. Actually, something wrong with her. So she went over to her mother's house, and I went to work. When I came home, there she was. But it didn't stop. She continuous going back and forth to her mother's house. On the 4th of July, that was the last argument we had. She said she was going to her mama's to stay. So I stayed that night and the next day. I wrapped my clothes and left. She came back looking for me, saying how she was planning to come back home. But I said no good. It wasn't the point that I had got tired of her. I had just got tired of her running back and forth to her mother. Her mother wasn't meaning us no good no ways. I figured if she wanted to stay with her mother, she should have stayed with her mother before we got married. And I was still a nice enough guy that after I had found she had lied to me about being pregnant, I still didn't say anything about it. I could have just went into things right then, and it would have been lots more simpler than it is now. See, I'm trying to make something. I'm not getting no younger, and I want to at least have something before I get 40 or 50 years old. I can't do anything. What can you do when you 40 or 50? You can live, but that's all. I want to work maybe 15 or 20 years till I'm 35, maybe 40, and have me something saved up good. Then I could kind of slack down and live as I want to live. But right now, it'll look kind of foolish every time I save up $50, go out and spend it for nothing, and come back and have to work twice as hard trying to do something else. But she don't seem to understand that. As soon as she get $1, she want to run and spend it. She just didn't never grow up. But she actually figured that she's the only person that grown up. She figured that I'm still a boy and she a woman. She just don't understand. She figures she just more grown up than I am. It's generally like that. 'Cause I felt the same way when I was on the streets. That I was more grown up than anybody on the streets. I would always tell somebody else something, but couldn't nobody tell me anything. And quite naturally, she couldn't have been on the streets that long and got a baby. Anybody know that. Look at these girls on the streets. Look at these vice ladies and cobraettes. You know, they've been through all kinds of hell. And ain't none, very few of them girls out there got babies. There are prostitutes and everything else. And ain't none of them got no babies. They move away and they be just like anybody else when don't nobody know them. Then you take these fools that come in and ain't been no place and don't know nothing and try to tell you something. Sure, I listen. And some things you say make sense, make you feel sorry for her. But the point is, I can learn something from her. And I've been out there with them kinds of peoples. Seems like she should learn a little more than I'm learning. And she ain't been out there with them, but she just don't see it like that. Like now, she on the ADC and she going to school. The ADC don't know she going. I'm paying $100 a month for support. And she paying out pretty close to $60 a month going to school. What the hell's the baby getting? The baby's gonna have to eat. It's actually fun, her trying to be slick. And if I don't pay, it'll be cheaper for me to go to jail. They not gonna keep me no more than 30 days, 60 at the most. They can't keep me forever, but not giving somebody something that's not theirs, that's be mine. I'm obligated to pay some, but why all this when I'm not even with her? I'll pay for something that's mine, but not for something that's not mine. And she's just steady going to school. Sure, I could understand if she was going to school at night. Let her go at night. She don't have to pay nobody. If I'm going to give her $25 a week, let me watch the kids. Don't give my money to somebody else while you go to school during the daytime and the kids half getting mistreated. And you still got them ADC peoples on my back about that support. You're not doing right yourself, making me look like a fool. I have to work twice as hard and can't even get a decent place to live. And then she just throwing away money. What's she gonna do when she go back to school? She be 20 years old and 3A. Kinda silly, stupid. When you have a baby and the baby ain't but 3 months old, you not well. You can't get up at no 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, talking about going to school and get back at 3:30. And you can't keep a house. You tired enough as it is, just having the baby, trying to do like everybody else, running around that school, running up and down stairs. You're going to run around with your friends. Weekends, you're going to try and go out. You're going to stay up to about 10, 12 o'clock. So how in the hell can you do all that? And at night, the baby going to wake up too. And all through the night, you're going to give him his bottle. That's a whole lot of jive. It's tough. It's hard enough just keeping the baby. And here he is. He got a diaper rash because she too lazy to get up and dry him. She's supposed to find a babysitter to keep my baby. She getting better now, though, since I went upside her head. How long is she going to be able to go to school if that baby gets sick one more time? She'll fool around. She'll send herself to jail, okay? She don't take that baby to the clinic like he's supposed to be taken, and the baby fool around and die. She going to be into it. She can't look at me and say I didn't do my part, even though I didn't give her the money. She's supposed to be the mother. That's her part. Anytime the mother don't care about her own child, you know damn well what the father thinks. She the one went through all them pains. Like I say, I care for my child, but the mother, see, the mother's supposed to have a little more respect for the kids than I'm supposed to have. If something go wrong, it makes me kind of think she don't give a damn. Why should I? She let her sister wash and feed my baby. And her sister about 10, 11 years old. What do a 10, 11 look like washing a baby? If some mothers can wash and keep their babies in order, why can't she? It's kind of funny. And to show how stupid she was, she called herself getting money from the ADC peoples. They sent it down when they felt like it. At least I was stopping by and giving her $10 or $15 when she was asking for it. But she steady asking for more and more money. How the hell I'm gonna give her more money? Okay, I wouldn't mind giving her $5 and then giving her another $5 if she was gonna take care of the first $5. If she won't take care of the first $5, it's kind of hard to give her another $5. And our problem, see, she liked to ask me for money, and she didn't want me to ask what she was gonna do with it. Who the hell's gonna give somebody some money unless they know what they gonna do with it? If I walked up and said, give me $15, you gonna ask me what I'm gonna do with it. She asked me, well, give me $15. I say, well, what you gonna do with it? She say, there you go again. Every time I ask you for some money, you all ask me what I'm gonna do with it. Why the hell should I give her some of my money? I work hard all week for it. And she sit up there on ADC, and she don't give me nothing when I ask for it. She just making it for herself. Her rent costs $75 a month, and she ain't getting but $129 a month. She just barely making it. And now she won't even have a holiday stay. And see, my first chance to leave, I'm gonna leave. What kind of fool's gonna go around paying that kind of money? Actually, the aid is not for her anyway. They mostly give you that money for your kids. You get a certain something, but you don't get as much as your kids. I imagine you get enough because you're supposed to be their guardians or something like that, and it's not actually your house. Anytime somebody comes to your house, anytime they want to look around, and you can't have who you want to have there, and you can't have no telephone, and you can't have this, can't have a television, who the hell want to live like that? They doing this and they think they slick. How in the hell you slick? You ain't slick. You a stone fool. If you gonna get $129 a month, you better off working for it than somebody giving it to you. Anytime somebody give you something, they always want something for it. But she thinks she doing right. She actually thinks she doing right. She just don't know. Anytime you ready for somebody to give you something before you ready to work for something, you in bad shape. That's one thing we always did when I was on the streets. If we couldn't take it from nobody, don't give it to us. We didn't want it. Because there's going to be something behind it. Somebody always end up getting hurt behind it or something. Always like that. You give us $2 tomorrow, you're going to want 4 or 5. Now, anytime you act like you got it, we'll take it from you. But don't just walk up and say, here's $2. Buy yourself something to drink. Nope, we don't go for it. I always felt that I was capable of taking care of myself. If I wanted something, I knew how to get it one way or another. I always felt can't that man help me if I can't help myself? That's the way I still feel about things. If I can't make my own decisions, can't nobody make them for me. I know right from wrong. If I want to do it, right way for me is to do it my way, the way I want to go. If I don't want to go, I'm not gonna do it. I just don't care who make the laws and who don't make the laws. It's my decision what I want to do. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. Nothing wrong with that. It's common sense, you know? I feel this way. The law is there. It's something that people made. I mean, everybody know right from wrong, man. Law is for the fools. People like, I feel this here. People say we not civilized. Well, I bet you tomorrow morning you'll find more of them peoples in jail than you'll find of us for beating their wife. If they're not beating their wife, they're in there for disorderly conduct, drunken disorderly or something. Now, we did gang fight, but we did it for a purpose. What's their purpose in doing it? We young, but they 35 and 40 years old. But still, when they read the paper about us, they say, it's a shame. Those young hoodlums, those young punks, they need to be put away. But they forget a week before that they was in jail for disorderly conduct. Shit! I knew there was a certain restriction in the laws about what we could do, but I feel this way. In certain cases, we just stretch the laws a little bit more. Yet no, than the way they should have been stretched. But at the time we did do this, what's did is did. At that time, I figured it was the right thing for me to do, and I did it. It's one of them things like anything else. I'm not ashamed I did it. Once I start being ashamed of something I did, I'll be just like everybody else. No confidence in myself. I'll never amount to anything. I'll always be scared to make a decision. I don't want to ever be that way. Maybe the decision is wrong. If it's wrong, if it comes up again, I'll know not to do it. When you're on the streets, you learn what's what. That's something they don't teach you in school. School don't teach you about life. It teaches you about past life, what somebody did, and how somebody made something. It don't teach you about how to live, and this is something they can't teach you unless you be in the streets. School put education in your head, but the streets will tell you what you gonna do when you grown. The streets teach you how to live. Okay, say a stud got an education. Oh yeah, he give you the right answer for what's 2 and 2, but he couldn't go out in the street and make $5 like you could, or couldn't tell you what's happening. Education, it does mean something though. You might get a job before me, but the peoples that actually know what they doing, the peoples that are actually making it, what I mean is you can't really make it unless you know what's happening in the streets. I don't care how much education you got. If you don't know how to live in the streets, it don't mean nothing. A fella like me, I figure, well, at least I know I'm living in the streets. Anytime I'm out in the streets, I can make myself a hustle, you dig? I always can make myself a buck if I want to bad enough. 'Cause there's always somebody on the street, a fool. There's always a fool out there. I don't care what generation you is. You always gonna find a fool. And every time the price go up, every time a more intelligent fool come out in the street, then you got to be a little bit more intelligent. And maybe those people in school be more advanced than me. But on the long run, you got to look at this here. The thing will equal up. Because in order for them to use this knowledge, they got to first come on the street. And half those people with all that education haven't got the stomach to live on the street and go through all that shit. And because their parents put them in school so young, they don't know the first thing about the streets. So they might fall 10 to 12 years behind me while they're trying to learn how to live on the streets. I catch up with them. That's what my parents up theirs. Because I know what's going on. I know what's out there. They don't know what is what's happening. They don't know nothing about nothing. And as much as 9 out of 10 times they'll get lost or end up a gangster. What you learn on the streets is how to live. See, you never know who might knock on your door. Like I say, I might hit you in the head and rob you tonight. And tomorrow I wouldn't know who I hit. Half the time you don't care. I might not remember your face, but you might remember mine. So you got to be very observant. You learn to do certain things. You learn your senses. You learn to smell things. You learn to control your ways. Out south, out north, or out west. There's a whole lot of gangbangers wherever you go. Like out south, there's the Rangers. Out north, the Continental Pimps. And out west, they're the Vice Lords. And Cobras, too. That's why I say at least all of them been on the streets. And they know what's happening. All them people with that education, they don't even know what's happening. I could tell them some things they don't know about, too. How to get along with peoples. I could get along with peoples they couldn't. There's certain things I could understand about them peoples that they couldn't. Take the caseworkers. They're all short-tempered because they don't have the patience to stake out to what their ideas will be about life. They won't take the time to see how they feel about what is what. And all them caseworkers are always telling. How the hell you tell somebody something? I can't tell you or anybody what to do. I can maybe make a suggestion about how you might better yourself about this and that, but life's a funny thing. That's all I can do. Now, I'm not too old. I'm in what you call the middle grade. I'm out of my teens. I'm 20 years old. And the 5 out of 25 I was out there in the street, I learned more than all the other 15 because of the different people I run into and the incidents that happen. Actually, I learned how to find myself, how to look up and face responsibility, things that everybody didn't give you. It was always this way in a club. There's somebody always depending on you. Somebody always looking up to you to do something so they could keep on going. This gives you a good feeling, so you do it, and they do it. But everybody in the club got to change and go through a different way of life. You're not going to be a gang fighter all your life. People steady advertising, you need this, you need that. You need doctors, you need lawyers, undertakers. And you think what you're losing, so you got to change. Don't care what anybody says. We don't mean no harm to nobody if they don't mess with us. See, we respect some older people than us. As long as they don't mess with us, we don't mess with them. Yeah. Just like Wyatt Earp. See, Wyatt Earp was supposed to be a law-abiding man. If somebody messed up, they seen Wyatt Earp. But if you didn't mess up, you didn't see Wyatt. The same way with us. And you know what people said? They said, if you don't mess with them vice lords won't mess with you. Same way with Wyatt Earp and his town. And this is why the vice lords begin to have a city. And then pretty soon, they said we had an organization. But all we thought, we just buddy-buddy. See, some people think the wrong way. They think the vice lords just trying to be bad, build up a reputation. We don't think that way. We not only just building our rep, we laying back, drinking wine, having a good time for the time being until we get a job. See, we don't want to be laying on the street all the time. This is just the point the public don't see. They figure that we some kind of cattle. Once you be branded, you can't take the brand off of you. They figure that just because you might have a record or a reputation, it's all over. But this is something that nobody seems to understand. What you did in your younger days is not something you can't grow out of. Everybody has to grow up. And now, the way they acting just like we was in our younger days. Like they not letting us face responsibilities, the public, the people, the welfare. Now you can't blame all the welfare. It's some of our fault, some of their fault. It's a hell of a thing. Look, there's 28,000 people living in the Robert Taylor Housing Project. How many more living in Lawndale area? And count the centers of the playgrounds. Can't everybody get a basketball? And not too many places you can go get a baseball. And in the Lawndale area, how many people's on the welfare so they can't afford to buy this stuff? And in the area, how many people go to school if they ain't kicked out? How many don't have the self-confidence in not having the clothes and the money to go to school? Some people say $1 is not a lot, but how many people's got $1 to pay for a book? How many people's got 13 cents to catch the bus every day? There's a lot more to it than people see, but people not trying to see. Only thing people see is young savages. All they say is they savages. They don't need a chance. There's two sides to every story. They not looking at it that way though. To me, they just more savage to me than I am to them. We both live in two complete different worlds. Actually, I'll probably make it to the top before they will, because at least I got something to fight for. I want to be independent. They don't. They're going to look at the next person, and the next person going to say, I think those boys need to be put away. Then this person going to say, I think you're right. They should be put away. Them boys shouldn't have no place in this society, none at all. That's why they saying they young savages, throw them away, put them in jail, but they don't need to be on the street. They don't know the first thing about it. Half these peoples out here don't even know who the president is today, and they got nerve to talk about what is what. It's the truth. Half these people don't even know what this Vietnam problem is all about. They supposed to be citizens, and most of these people out here don't know who in the hell they voting for. That's true. Everybody know that. That's how Walker got in Congress. He's the biggest hypocrite I ever seen. Everybody say he's the most generous, most kindest man I ever seen. He don't do nothing but sit around and give his flunkies mail to mail. Walker's a smart man, I give it to him in this case, because he can fool the ignorant person. They come in after a hard day's work and not interested in nothing. They say, well, I think Walker's a smart man, let's vote for Walker. Will Walker build them a couple of hospitals? No. Will Walker cut down taxes a half cent? No. Walker in next year. If you making $50 a week, if taxes raised half a cent, you're going to lose that month. Walker's your man. You put him in office. Fuck Walker. To me, Frontier Days is better than it is now. At least everybody wore a gun. You didn't have to pay nobody to shoot you down. You know what to expect then. But now, it's a hell of a thing. You out doing something, and you steady paying taxes. And the police, the man you paying, comes up and shoots you in the head or shoots you in the back. And it's a hell of a thing. The average fella in the club is not stupid. They can't be stupid in a club facing danger every day. This is something the government itself trained you for, how to stay alive. This is why they draft peoples into the army. But ourselves, we didn't need it. You can't lecture to us about it, because if we didn't do it, we'd die, get killed. We learned how to fight, how to help yourself to something. Like if you needed money or something, you know how to get it. If you didn't want to work for it, and half the time we didn't want to work, because we didn't see why we should work. When people steady dominating us anyway, people gave us the name of being savages, so we just be savages. But we still feel we're a little better than they are. I'm out the Lords. I just got tired of fighting, so I got out. You know, you don't stay in a club. Anytime a fella join a club, he grabbing for something. Everybody join a club reaching for a certain goal, and when you reach that goal, that's it. Like maybe you're reaching for something. When you reach for that, when you get it, you're going to start reaching for something else, you know? It's a steady thing. I joined the Lords to gain respect and get known across the neighborhood. And I gained it. In a way, some ways good, and some ways bad. Because in a way, I gained it. I did develop more enemies than I did friends. Maybe the first time I turned my back, somebody might run up on me. I don't know. All I can say, when you're out there and you don't know who's sisters and brothers, you shoot. And it could be some of your own peoples. You don't know nothing about that. You know there's people in your family you don't know. And on occasions, you might be fighting them. So I just got out, that's all. But just because you get out of a club, you still owe certain, you don't really owe anything, but you feel like they come around and they ask you for something to drink or something. I mean, you feel that it's only something you should give it to them. But going out and gang banging with them, that's no good. I wouldn't even hang around with them much, because it shows a kind of something. People look at it as you still there. And when you hanging with the group, peoples is peoples. Peoples don't understand why you hang with them, who you are, or what. Peoples name you. Peoples name the club. Yeah, that's how peoples react if you're a teenager. Once you're a lord, you branded for the rest of your life.